What's going on, guys? I'm Tyler, and in continuing my series of Disney movie reviews, I'm here to let you know that Treasure Planet is no perfect movie. It takes place in this steampunk outer space type world where a boy named Jim Hawkins, played by Joseph Gordon Levitt, discovers a treasure map leading to Treasure Planet itself, where a famous pirate once stored booty from over 1,000 different planets. So he boards this spaceship as a cabin boy alongside an astronomer, played by David Hyde Pierce, the ship's captain, Emma Thompson, and the mysterious but still charismatic cook, Long John Silver, played by Brian Murray. This was a movie I saw a lot of times through the trailers, but never really the movie itself. But I always wanted to because I like the outer space look that the movie had. I thought the designs looked really cool, and I like the idea of Treasure Island being in outer space. And what I can safely say is that the steampunk outer space world that they're going for does look pretty cool. Each alien design has their own specific features about them that says a lot about their personalities and what they contribute to the story. For example, there's this navigator who has multiple different eyelids that they use in order to navigate and look for danger. That was a really cool feature. I like that Silver doesn't just have a peg leg, he also has a mechanical arm and a mechanical eye, and it leaves a lot of mystery surrounding how he got those limbs and how he uses them in his evil deeds. And there's this other villain who's kind of half lobster, half spider that has this really intimidating presence about him, and he serves as a really intimidating henchman. And the scenes where it's just the ships floating in space, they're observing the night skies, the scope just looks huge. It has this sweeping camera motion, kind of like Hunchback of Notre Dame, that makes you feel like you're really in the moment with these characters when those scenes do happen. Because the one downside about how good the animation is that the designs of outer space really just serve mostly as backdrops as opposed to serving the action of the story. Because, weirdly enough, for a movie about treasure hunting in space, there really isn't a ton of action to it. To the movie's defense, it focuses more on the characters and their struggles and only puts an action scene whenever it would serve the story or develop the characters. They made the wise choice to do that for the most part, and the action set pieces, when they're there, are pretty good, but there wasn't that much character conflict to them because a lot of the times space was the more intimidating presence than the villains, which if this was a movie where space was the thing that was the most to be feared of, kind of like how Finding Nemo, the main villain was the ocean itself, that would be a really cool idea, but it's clear as day you're supposed to find this team of mutineers as the evil force to be reckoned with, and you only find two of them creepy because one of them looks like an insect lobster creature, and because Long John Silver has some good character development. Which reminds me, most of the main characters are pretty good. Joseph Gordon Levitt does good work as Jim, although it takes a while to really latch onto him as a character, which was kind of the point. For the first 20 minutes, he's this brooding, angsty teenager, and without spoiling anything, because he does have a unique backstory, it does make you understand why he's acting out and why he's going on this journey, mostly to make his mom proud, not just to really do anything for himself. David Hyde Pierce and Emma Thompson bring a lot of fast paced energy to their characters for different reasons. Hyde Pierce is the typical clumsy and cowardly scientist who has to learn how to stand up for himself, and Thompson is so fast talking and cocky and really values her independence until worst case scenarios where she really has to learn to put trust in her subordinates and through these new strangers in her life. And they both do really good jobs with these characters. They both work off of each other nicely. You believe the chemistry between the two of them. And you know what? Long John Silver is a pretty complex villain. It's clear as day at the beginning that he's just out for the treasure and is only putting Jim to work just so he won't suspect anything going on. But over time, you really come to believe that Silver respects the fact that Jim is willing to put up with the hard work and will not back down to anything. And that's where this genuine father son bond between the two of them comes into the story when Silver tries to encourage Jim that, you have a lot of great things about you, but you gotta take the initiative. You gotta move forward with your own life and what you want to do. So there are some good characters in this movie, and they are fleshed out. The one problem is how much time they're given to be fleshed out and how the movie sometimes has a really desperate attempt at trying to be funny that really interferes with how much you root for these characters. Because for the first 20 minutes, as I said, Jim is the brooding teen, but for those 20 minutes, he doesn't really do anything to progress the plot or really progress him. It's actually mostly just David Hyde Pierce being this bumbling, kooky scientist for the sake of comedy. And when he's the one who encourages Jim to go on this journey to learn about himself, he disappears for what feels like a really long time just so Jim can have this relationship with Silver. And that gets interrupted by some of the crewmates for the sake of dumb comedy, like this one crew member who speaks in fart noises, or this little morphing bubble, literally named Morph, who was kind of cute and had a couple funny moments, but was kind of annoying for the rest of it. Again, just for dumb comedy. And as the stakes become higher, when Hyde Pierce and Thompson spend more time together and bond with each other, as Jim is trying to outsmart Silver to find the treasure, in comes Martin Short as this incredibly dim-witted talking robot, which, wow, Martin Short in this movie, good God, he was annoying. I actually kind of give Cuba Gooding Jr. credit in Home on the Range for being quiet for a couple moments. Short, like, screams fucking everything, and there was absolutely no reason for it. It felt like the most amount of purpose that he gave to the story was just to shout everything when the villains are right behind him. He's just like, hey, we're over here. What are you doing? What was he doing? I know some people are going to say this is a Disney movie. What do you expect? There's got to be some dumb comedy in there. First of all, there doesn't have to be dumb comedy in there. Pocahontas barely had any comedy, and that was actually one of the things people complained about with that movie, but it's just like, you don't need comedy to be uplifted. Like, the things that were uplifting about Pocahontas were the songs, the romance, the characters. There were a lot of moments in that where I smiled. Or in Atlantis, a movie that didn't have a ton of character development per se, but had a lot of great character interactions with people who you genuinely believed worked well together. With this movie, it has a lot of those same features. It has animation that just makes you smile by how beautiful and large and majestic it is, and characters that make you feel a lot of sympathy for, but in comes like the gimmicky stuff, like the stupid comedy or the one note character tropes that really just get in the way of that. A lot of people, when they think of Treasure Planet, they think of the sci-fi imagery that is the gimmick that ruined it, which I don't really see it that way. It was imaginative and creative, and it led to some nice visuals, but the jokes, when they fail miserably, and it takes your mind off of how good the character moments were before that. You don't need comedy or jokes to smile in a Disney movie. You need beautiful imagery, you need fantastic characters, some really good music, and a lot of high stakes tension. And this movie has glimpses of that, but it's the gimmicky humor that really gets in the way of it and doesn't really make the good things about it stand out. So, for all those reasons, as much as I wanted to like this movie, it was okay. You know, I don't regret it. I don't regret watching it, but it's not one that I'm going to watch over and over again. So, I'm going to give Treasure Planet a 3 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching. If you have seen Treasure Planet, do let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. Be sure to stay tuned for more Disney reviews, and be sure to like and subscribe. Take care.